everybody. It's a little dark in here because it's very late at night, but tomorrow some family comes into town for Christmas, and then it's the end of the. I wanted to get this video out while I had time. Even though the year's not over yet, I've had a really impressive year, and I just kind of want to share it. And along the way, you're going to learn a lot about how I live my life, I guess. A couple years ago, I started keeping a checklist throughout the year of like media that I consume and notable events that happen for posterity. Why do I keep track of like books that I read and TV shows that I watch? You know how some people get a lot of satisfaction when you cross items off a list? Well, by adding items to a list, I feel like I'm almost like collecting them and giving them more meaning by documenting them, by capturing them. So that's pretty much it. So we'll get through the media I've consumed, and then we'll do the notable events, and then I'll wish you all a happy 2025. Yeah? So for books, I am always reading a physical book and listening to an audiobook. The audiobooks for like driving to and from work or whenever I'm out and about. And then the physical book I usually read for about an hour or two at night before I go to bed. Physical books could also mean graphic novels because I don't discriminate when it comes to stories. I will read a story or consume a story in pretty much any medium. So this year, and again, the year's not over yet. I've got like another couple weeks, but actually more like a week and a half. 68 books that I read this year, 61 of which I actually finished because sometime back I gave myself permission to just stop if it's not fun. Same with video games, same with anything. If I stop having fun, stop. I've got backlogs for everything a mile long, and there's no point in doing it if it's not fun, right? So 61 books finished this year. 20 of them were audiobooks, 20 of them were graphic novels, and the rest were just normal novels. Of note, when it comes to my audiobooks, I've developed a pattern, because one of the things I'm trying to do is get through all of the works of Stephen King. And I've made a lot of progress. I'm doing quite well. But I find that Stephen King books often give me some tension. He's good at writing tension and anxiety. So I kind of developed a cycle for the audiobooks. So I do a Stephen King book, and then I am currently also going back through the Rift War cycle by Raymond E. Feist. So it's a Stephen King book, then a Rift War cycle book, then a random book of any kind. I did the Gideon the Ninth series, for example, which is great. Do a lot of Brandon Sanderson because he writes a lot and it's hard to keep up. Just whatever random book I want in there. In between each book, I listen to some podcasts and then I do the next book. I'm currently doing the Magnus Archive for the first time, which is excellent. So up my alley, and I enjoy it. I also do the film Reroll, which is where they take a movie and they play it as a role-playing game using GURPS rules, and the movie very quickly goes off the rail and it becomes a whole new thing, which is fun. And then some Loading Ready Run stuff, which is always good. So, books. 38 video games this year. Only 28 of which I've finished. I am more likely to not finish a video game than anything else, just because I try a little bit of everything, but, you know, again, if it starts to feel like work, why? Why? Just do something else. 8 of those video games were for Home on the RNG, the podcast that I do, and that's what I've got for that. In order to count on the list, I do have to play it for like more than, I don't have a timer, but at least 2 hours, right? If I just touch something, I'm like, it's not really for me. After 30 minutes or an hour, it doesn't even show up on the list. But if I've invested some time in it, then it goes on the list. Movies. I've watched 103 movies so far this year. 17 of which were watched with at least one other person, 12 of which were seen in theaters, 10 of which I watched on airplanes because it's been a busy year. Um, what's fun for me about the movies this year is I started watching Joe Bob Briggs movies. Joe Bob Briggs has had multiple TV shows over the years where, and he's famous for writing reviews for bad drive-in movies. That's always been his shtick. He's been doing it since like the 70s. He's got a current show on Shudder called The Last Drive-In. He's had a couple other shows, all with the same thing, where it's just it introduces a movie, gets deep into the background of the production of the movie, and then shows the movie, and then after like 30 minutes, cut back to Joe Bob Briggs talking a little bit about the movie, then back to the movie. It's not like Mystery Science Theater. He doesn't mock during the movie. It's just the movie with clips of him scattered throughout talking about the movie. It's usually bad movies, because I love bad movies. If you know me, you know this. But this is also the year I decided to start watching the Criterion Collection, which are good movies. So I've balanced my cinematic karma somewhat. More Criterion Collection movies are coming up. More WTF Cinema reviews are coming up. It's hard to do things around the holidays, but I am sticking with that plan. So, moving on, TV. I only count TV when I complete a season. I don't count episodes. Also, I am going to... So I've watched 101 seasons of TV this year. But a season can mean a lot of things. There are some shows that are like 3 episodes, and that's the whole show because it's a special miniseries or whatever. That's a season. Then, there's 26 episodes of an older show, and that's a season. So I'm also watching Dimension 20 on Dropout. Each episode of that is 2.5 hours long, and it goes for like 14 episodes. So a season can mean a lot of things. But 101 seasons. Of note, I am currently watching, I usually am watching like 6 shows in a rotation, and then I drop in whatever currently airing shows as well. So I watched 31 current seasons of shows. By current show, it means that the season aired within the last year. So for example, I am watching through all of The Simpsons for the very first time. I'm on season 32, so I have not yet caught up to real-time airing. So it is not counted in my list as a current show because I'm not on the current season. I am also watching through all of Supernatural for the first time. The first season was rough, but I'm in it now. I'm in like season 10, season 11. I'm really enjoying it. I'm also getting so close to my mission of watching every Law and Order show. I still have like half of SVU to do, all of Organized Crime to do, and I have to keep up with the shows that are currently airing. But that's it. I've done all the little, Trial by Jury, True Crime, LA, Conviction. I've done all of the little side quests. I'm so close. So 31 seasons of current shows watched this year. 15 seasons I watched with other people. We also recorded 16 episodes of Home on the RNG this year, which is nice. It's nice to actually, produce content and feel good. But none of this is why I feel like I've had a particularly good and busy year. So we're just going to go through the notable events of the year, then I'm going to go to bed, and you're all going to have a great 2025. That's the plan. So in February, I started what is going to be an ongoing tradition of, on Chinese New Year, driving to San Antonio and having dinner at Golden Walk. If you like Chinese food, Golden Walk in San Antonio is the best, bar none. Check it out. Also, the princess pressured me relentlessly into pursuing something I've been saying I wanted to do for years. I became open water scuba certified this year in March. God, it was a good time. It was great. I completed my certification. Princess didn't. She had a bad incident on the next to last day of certifications, and then on the last day of certifications, she couldn't get over the mental block of not being able to breathe underwater. So she did not get certified, but I did, and that'll come up later. I saw Rachel Bloom live in April with Princess doing her Death Let Me Do My Show, which I think is on Netflix now, but I saw it live in Austin. I saw comedy band Lou Berger in May with my friend Rachel. I found them on TikTok because this is also the year I got heavily into TikTok. I started last year, but yeah, that was a good time. We had a great time. In June, something almost every month, I saw Guitar Wolf live. If you saw my review of Wild Zero, that is the band from Wild Zero. It is a real Japanese rock band. They happened to come to Austin. I caught the show. It was indescribable. It was phenomenal. It was an experience like nothing I've ever had before. If they ever come to Austin again, I am 100% there. Guitar Wolf was amazing. I hesitate to call what they played music, but I won't insult it by calling it noise. Instead, they created a solid wall of sound that never let up, blasted my soul right out of my body. It was amazing. My friend Anna left Texas, and that was sad, and I'm going to miss them. But I did take them out for ramen, and we had a very lovely time together before they left for Chicago. That was sad. That was in July. In August, I saw Penn and Teller perform live in San Antonio and went to Golden Walk again. I have always loved Penn and Teller, and getting to see them perform live was a great experience. It was a fantastic show. They do not disappoint. And now I don't have to go to Vegas to see it because they brought the show almost to me. For those of you who don't know, San Antonio is like a 90-minute drive from where I live, so, you know, totally doable for a Texan. That's not a big deal. I went to work that day, then drove to San Antonio, and then drove home. It's fine. Also in August, I attended Dragon Con for the first time with my friend Taylor. I did not intend to go to Dragon Con because also in August, I went scuba diving in the Georgia State Aquarium. There was a video of that I put up on my channel. It was a group trip put together by the dive school where I was certified. Because it's important to me now that I have the scuba diving certification to scuba dive at least once a year, and but a lot of scuba diving trips are really expensive, and I did a lot this year that was expensive. This was a reasonably priced trip. You fly out to Georgia, they handle everything for it's white glove treatment. If you have any experience scuba diving, you will understand when I say that every part of scuba diving sucks except the part where you're in the water. Getting your gear sucks. Getting your gear on sucks. Getting into the water sucks. Getting out of the water sucks. Getting out of your gear sucks. Getting your gear back to the rental place sucks. It all sucks. Except for when you're actually in the water. The Georgia State Aquarium has a diving session every day and like 2 on Saturdays. And they do everything for you. You're allowed to bring your own mask. That's it. They provide all of your other gear. They put it on you for you when you're sitting over the tank. They take it off you afterwards. They guide you to the showers. There's even a machine to dry your bathing suit. They handle the videography. They handle everything. It is so cool. And you're swimming with whale sharks and manta rays and stingrays and turtles and all kinds of wildlife. I can't even tell you how massive some of these, the manta rays and the whale sharks are enormous when they're right up near you. And we were warned, you got to stay very low in the tank because those whale sharks tend to stay higher, but not always. So keep an eye out. If you see scuba divers flatten, because getting hit by a whale shark, which will not slow down or try to avoid you, is like getting hit by a bus. You can also We also got to see like kids and visitors on the other side of glass, and we got to do little spins and tricks. And one of the guys I was diving with did rock paper scissors with a kid. It was a fantastic experience. It really was great. And that trip happened to be the same weekend as Dragon Con, so I thought, well, if we're going to be there that weekend anyway, hey Taylor, you want to go to Dragon Con? So it was my first time going to Dragon Con, which was a giant nonstop party. It was very cool. It wasn't until the end of Dragon Con I finally figured out how Dragon Con works, and then it was over. I'd love to go back someday, but probably not next year, because there's so many new experiences to have. But also I did so much this year that I think next year's going to be a little bit calmer. Because nothing cool happened in September, or of note happened in September, just life. And then in October, Princess and I went to Germany for 2 weeks. And God, we did videos of that. So many once-in-a-lifetime experiences. I mean, we slept in a castle. I spent a day in the greatest spa of my life. We toured multiple castles and museums. Just so much cool stuff. It was a great... I have never taken 2 weeks off from work before and then gone back to that same job. And I've never been to a country where English isn't the main language. It was an experience, and Princess is an excellent travel buddy. It was a great time. And then afterwards, I reached out to Dean Erickson, who played Gabriel Knight in the second Gabriel Knight game, which is set in Germany, and we visited many locations from that game, and to ask him if I could now be considered a junior Schottenjäger, and he told me I was more of a Schottenjäger than him. So this is the year I officially became a Schottenjäger after sleeping in the most expensive suite in the castle Schloss Ritter, which is not a real castle, but it's Burg Rabenstein is the castle we stayed in, that they used the exterior for Schloss Ritter in the video game. It's a whole... Anyway, big Germany trip. It was great. Took my now annual week off from work in November to watch Desert Bus, which was very nice. Then in December, I tell you, something every month, my friend Taylor said, hey, Brendan Sanderson's having this big convention. Do you want to come? It's to celebrate the release of Wind and Truth. And I said, sure, let's go. And one of my favorite fantasy authors, Robin Hobb, was there. I got to have a book signed by her. I got to meet her. She was lovely. The entire experience was honestly pretty cool, even though I got con crud by the end of it. And then just 2 days ago, I went to see a concert of Super High Tops, The Returners, and Descendants of Erdrick, again with my friend Taylor, on what happened to be his birthday. Those three bands are significant in Austin if you're aware of local music. They are video game music cover bands, and they are all great. And one of them, Super High Tops, is the frontman for that is Chris Taylor, who is on the podcast with us. So, I've got friends in most of those bands, so getting to see them perform was just a treat. My point is, it has been a year. I have been making the joke for probably 5 years that every year is the year of the Mad Centaur. This is my year. 2024 was my year. I know in terms of world news, a lot of bad stuff happened. And the future is not looking bright and shiny, but for me personally, I had a lot of adventures. I did a lot of cool stuff that I'd never done before. I got to spend a lot of time with people that I care about. And of course I got to watch, a lot of great shows, a lot of great TV shows, a lot of great movies, a lot of great books, everything. It's been a great year. I want to thank all of you for being a part of it just by watching my content, just by watching the stuff that I do. You are a part of what makes my life worth celebrating. So I appreciate all of you. I hope you all had a good year too. I hope you all have a great 2025. And for those of you who, like me, are concerned about the future and the shape of things, you're not alone. We're all in this together. We got to support each other. And you got to look out. Mr. Rogers said it best. When there's a disaster, when things are bad, when there are problems, look for the helpers. Because there's always going to be somebody out there trying to help and trying to do the right thing. That's where you draw your hope from. You don't draw your despair from the problems, you draw your hopes from the people who want to make them better. So, I hope we all have a great 2025. I promise to keep making more content. There will be more Criterion reviews. I will do more WTF Cinema. I know what the next several movies for WTF Cinema are going to be. It's just a matter of finding the time. I've also got some more writing to get back to, because I seem to pick that up and put that down. To be fair, you've heard my year. It's been busy. Anyway, I've blathered on long enough. It's almost midnight. I gotta go to bed. I got family coming into town tomorrow. Thank you all for being here. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, and a happy new year. See ya.